Good people of Cameroon Wahala, good morning. After Captain Effoudou recent outing, we have determined 10 journalistic questions to best understand his outing. If from the beginning, most of the claims that he was making were breaking news, we later established a personal attack towards the Secretary General, Minister of State Ferdinand Gongo, which can be legitimate but which cannot take a whole nation as witness for issues that could be settled between two men. And within the week, the situation further exasperated as one of his uncle, a certain Bapu, who was found guilty by the judiciary months back for ill practices against the state, had a call with him within the week. And in this last outing of Captain Effoudou, he comes to regret the content and the format of this call exchange he had with the said Bapu. And so we are shooting straight this question to Captain Effoudou to question his legitimacy in seeking for clean hands. Captain Effoudou, if you are hearing us, you say you raise your voice out of legitimate indignation, but the recording suggests pressure was placed on a sick relative to get at you. What exactly was the pressure about? And who in your account was allegedly using him to reach you? That was kept silent. You didn't go into the reason why he is under pressure. If they want to reach me and get to my wife, there's a reason why my wife should succumb to the pressure. And knowing Bapu couldn't just succumb like that if he knew that he could have his way out. So, does Bapu have reason to succumb to that pressure? We would have loved to hear you more about that. And you seem to be well informed. Who is behind the pressure? There are two names that you have been mentioning: Secretary General Gongo and now the Amiral Effoudou. Certainly, they are behind. If they are behind the pressure, why? Why is your uncle answerable to them? Is he part of a cult? Is he part of a gang? The other question, you apologize to this elder brother at the end of your remarks, but at no point do you say you apologize directly to Bapu himself, who is ill. So the question we want to find out from you: have you called him? The call ended by you saying that you want to take your break and eat, then and continue the conversation. He promised that he's going to call you back if you feel that the tone used during the conversation wasn't polite. Did you call him back to find out, to apologize, and advise him not to call you again on this issue? Or you just, the impression we had is that you are doing everything to show that you're a well-groomed man who cannot offend his elder brother, whatever position you find yourself. But in the course of the video, we find that you might not be as humble as you may like to put it, but you might want to create a narrative around your humbleness. Let's keep digging. You claim you are not manipulable or capable of being instrumentalized, but that is not it. That's not what we see. In the recording, allegedly made threatening remarks towards a weakened relative, you said. How do you distinguish your own reaction from the instrumentalization you accuse others of? Let's suppose that Bapu is instrumentalized, is under pressure. What about you? People are questioning legitimately the timing of your outing, and you made it clear you are under serious attack on somebody you want him to pay. Fine. A first recording was enough. Successive of recording, almost becoming a Marshall Plan. Don't you think even the journalist that is questioning you can subdue you under indirect manipulation and instrumentalization to have his own interest fulfilled? You better check that. You might be thinking that you have all cover, but that is not what it's showing. If your reaction was, in your own words, somewhat excessive and you regret it, Why minimize its severity by calling it a simple raise of voice rather than detailing what was exactly said? Even your supposed uncle got furious. He couldn't recognize you. Maybe the impression you have given so far is that you were docile. And so, could you explain what actually made you suddenly talk to your brother in a way that he doesn't recognize? And why do you consider that talking to him like that wasn't something severe? That was a simple raise of voice. Has any raise of voice ever been simple? When the tone increased, isn't that sign of anger and pressure? Maybe you help detail us on what was actually the issue you guys were talking about. Is it forbidden for you to raise your voice? Why? Even when you're not okay? I think mention the issue was more important than the caring for your reaction, because something certainly sparked your reaction in that conversation. You accuse the Directorate General of External Relations team of planning to eliminate you in Paris, naming a specific official and the hotel. Now, you needed to complete that statement by telling us whether you have filed a complaint with the French authority. And if you have not done that, you should also tell us why. Is there a single human being on earth whose life will be threatened and he will not make move to secure them? Could this just be allegation to protect your personal narrative to keep sinking? It appears more to be the latter than the previous, but you are well placed to bring us a declaration on that. You say you have evidence of a large payment to a blogger. Are you prepared to produce that evidence in court rather than announcing it on air? You know, such announcement will further compound what is already existing. And that's where we say this could also be manipulation from the media house, giving you orientation to fight who they can consider as their enemy. So citing particular bloggers and media houses without clearly showing evidence and pushing them to go and complain before you provide evidence could be as well as to sit quiet. But you know, sitting quiet will not interest the crowd that is following. That's certainly why you prefer to call the name, build a story, and while the crowd is digging behind the story, you look for the next thing to distract them. Is that? You are calling for Lieutenant Emanuel's rehabilitation, citing 2 witnesses still in active service. Have you contacted them to confirm your version publicly, or are you relying solely on your recollection that dates at least 24, that is more than 72 months ago? I think for salient things like that, you should be able to investigate and tell us what of the things you are saying, is it current or does it date back to the days when you were still in charge of the intelligence service at the presidency of the Republic? 3 years is quite a long time for things to have changed by themselves or to have had new actors that will upset some practices. You say you have been tracking Sani Mahamadou since 2020. Why make this information public now when you were still in office at the time of the event? Your alerts by then would have made more sense than the sympathy you are trying to get from us. You accuse several public figures of working for hidden interests without ever producing a document. Is that not exactly the method you accuse the complacent press of using? When you say Info, Pongwari, Kinti, and others are targeting you, defying your outing without substantial proof, what about you? With all the proof, with all the attack you are making on people, have you provided any single proof? So you are using the mirror effect of what they are doing, just that for now, you are on the PowerPoint, and so all eyes are tilted towards you. Since your exile, you have made a string of revelations, none of which have, to date, led to a verifiable judicial procedure. What concretely distinguishes your accusation from a communication strategy aimed at maintaining your visibility? What if now you have become an economic narrative, looking for a way to sustain itself. It's been Cyril Demain. This series of questions is aimed at helping us to understand the stakes, not only what can be assimilated to information. I'll be yours again. Until then, stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.